I was a child bride at 15 years old. I was taken abroad to get married to a man who's twice my age. As a child, I was very much so a tomboy. I was an early bloomer when it came to puberty. I started developing from the age of 8 years old. I started to notice that things would start changing for the girls only. We had to start wearing a headscarf. We had to start attending mosque. From what I'm saying, you can gather that I was from a Muslim background. Around that age, you know, you're like 11, 12, 13 years old. You know, you start to develop feelings and exploring, certain emotions. And I started developing emotions towards this other boy that was in our community. He was the same race, same ethnic background and everything, and religion. I fell in love with him because we would go to mosque, and we were kids, so we were allowed to share the same room as the opposite, to sit down and learn and talk. The imam would explain things about religion and things like that. But at home, things were getting pretty tense because my father started to become there was a lot of domestic violence that we grew up with. And then my father, in that time, he kept on going back to Bangladesh and coming back to the UK. He would split his time in half. And during that time, I would very much so sink towards my secret boyfriend, because growing up I was daddy's girl, so not having my father around at that time really pushed me towards my secret boyfriend. When my father came back anyway, at one point, because he kept on going regularly, things started to heat up a little bit, in the sense of things in the house started getting a bit tense, and me and my sister, we started to notice that. So we started to kind of like bunk off school, and she would bunk off college and spend more time with our secret boyfriends. At this time, my sister fell so madly in love. She wanted to get married to her chosen person. And she came home and she told my father about it, and he got very mad. He hurt her really, really bad. About a week after that, she actually eloped, and she wanted to be with the person that she loved. There was like a lot of loud, intense voices going on, and I would feel and hear these intense voices going on because my bedroom was right on top of the living room. So I would actually hear all these things going on, but not quite make out what they're actually saying. The pressure in the house with all of us was building up. My father was just getting very angry and things like that, and because the outside community was putting that pressure on him too. It wasn't long after that, just before the summer holidays that we have here in the UK, just out of the blue, there was these plans made for us to go to Bangladesh. But one day my father just casually came back from the villages, because he made a little trip out there, and he said, "Oh, wouldn't it be great if we got Rubie married?" I stopped there. My trail of thought stopped. I looked at him. I stopped eating, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is why we're here." I couldn't comprehend the information. Everything made sense at the same time. I ran to my room and I started breaking everything. I started throwing my clothes on the floor. I was having a tantrum. I was a child. I was 15. About 3 weeks after that, there was an engagement. His entire family came over. I had to wear a sari, I had to wear gold and all that kind of stuff, and dolled up like the blushing bride. I remember the engagement happening, and it was very fast. I wasn't even sitting next to this man. I remember his sister coming to the room, my bedroom. She just put this ring on my finger. He didn't put the ring on my finger. She put the ring on my finger. And then she goes, "Oh, my brother's going to be so happy for you." Things like that. And in my head, I'm just like raging. I'm just like, hold your tongue, Rubie, hold your tongue. So the whole wedding day I was crying, and even the Mendi the night before, and the day of the wedding, and throughout the wedding, it was like horrid. It was like scary, frightening. I knew I had to go back to his place on the wedding night. I wasn't allowed to stay at mine, but I was thankfully on my period, so nothing happened on that night. It was a couple of nights after. That's when the rape happened. He had his way with me. And that would happen very, very, very regularly. In their minds, they wanted a child. They wanted me to get pregnant. Luckily, my uncle who lived with us put me on the pill. He actually gave me the contraceptive pill. And he said, take these every single day. And when it runs out, I'll give you new ones. And I said, all right. I think that was the best way that he could protect me. And then his sister just comes like so like snobby and like walks in and goes, I know why she's not getting pregnant. It's because of these. And they went through all my belongings and found the pills, took them off me. From then onwards, I wasn't on any contraceptive pills or anything like that. And I remember putting all the taps on and the shower on the full blast every time he'd me and walk in, sit in the corner of the room and just cry because no one can hear me because of the water sound. And you know, like if it's, I had all the taps on so the noise would drown out my crying, my horrific crying that I would do. And I knew I'd get pregnant, and I did get pregnant. And I was rapidly just getting worse and worse and worse. And I was thinking, I didn't want this pregnancy. I don't want this life. I don't want to be here. I don't care. You know, and it was like everybody would take it in turns to sit next to me on the bed, you know, make sure I'm all right, even if it's, you know, like taking the sweat off my forehead. I thought I was really, really bad, but I didn't really care. You know, I thought, oh, whatever this is, because to me, I never experienced morning sickness before. So to me, that was like, oh, is this it? But then when I knew with all the doctors and everything that something was very terribly wrong, and then when I knew what the doctors had told my mom, I knew, right, this is bad. But I didn't care. Within 2 weeks, my father booked us tickets to come back to the UK. It was that quick. And when I came home, finally got to my bed, sat on my bed, I thought, oh, I'm home. But it didn't feel like home. I just couldn't wrap my hand around it, and I was just like, it was horrible. It wasn't nice. And I was feeling so isolated, and I tried to kill myself. I found a packet of paracetamols, which is painkillers like Advil. I took them and I said, I've got no way out. I'm going to take it and I want to end my life. I ended up in hospital. More concern was for the baby that I was carrying. And I remember laying in the hospital bed and I had the drip in me, you know, like the IV in me. And, you know, they were trying to boost my immune system back up by giving me all these solutions that was just dripping into my veins. And when my family went home, there was this one nurse that came to me. She recognized that I wasn't happy. She recognized that there was something going on. She asked me the words, you want an abortion, don't you? And I said, yeah, I do. And the next day, I had a scan early in the morning. When I had that scan, I saw my little daughter's heart beating and I couldn't do it. I could not go through it. I had no right to take that life away. It's, you know, some people can't even have children, and there's me opting to get rid of it. Doesn't matter how she was made in me, you know, she was made from me as well. You know, and the universe gave me a gift. My daughter surprisingly made an appearance with a cesarean and 3 weeks premature. And it was an emergency cesarean because I knew she was breech anyway, but I thought I had a lot more time of the planned cesarean, but no, she came fast. And she came on October 29th, and that was horrific. Another horrific, traumatizing experience for me. And then when they wrapped her up and quickly just showed her to me, all I could see her was her big, beautiful eyes. And I was going, you look like a shy girl. And Shyla. I called her Shyla. And then they said, your baby's got CMV. And I'm like, what's CMV? It's called cytomegalovirus. It passes on with contact. So looking at what happened, I know for a fact that he must have had sex with somebody else and then got it and then passed it straight on to me. Because I do know from his own words that he was dating someone before he got married as well. That's how it passes on. So it passed on to me. I rinsed my baby's development when she was a fetus, and they said she's handicapped. And I'm like, well, what's handicapped? Like, I'm 16 years old and I'm getting traumatic news one after another. It's like, when can I get a break? It's like, you know, I couldn't comprehend what was actually happening to me. And I thought, handicap? What am I supposed to do with a handicapped baby? That's what I thought. I was so naive, and I was going, what do I do? How do I do this? Somebody tell me. And they couldn't. All they said was time will tell. But she started gaining weight and she's getting better. And then I finally took her home a couple of months after. And it was then I actually sparked up a relationship with somebody else. I remember I met up with him once saying that I had to go to hospital, but I lied. And he knew the situation that I was in. And then that's how I sparked that relationship up. And I eloped myself. And little did I know, because I was not taught how to be wise or look out for perpetrators, I ended up in a domestic violence relationship with him. And it was horrid. It was like Groundhog Day every single day. He was on bad, really, really bad. And yeah, and I had my baby with me as well. And he would go missing for days and come back. And even though I had a roof over my head, I had a bed, I had warmth, I had food, I lost all of that. I was disowned by my family and I was completely on my own. This man was beating me daily and I had nothing. And then I did have another baby by him as well. So I was a mum of two at that time, and I was trying to get myself on my feet, and then I did, and I soon left him. And I took the big break of actually going abroad. I rekindled things with my mom, made connections, and I started to visit my family, only because of the fact that during that time when I was recovering and I got away from the second relationship, I was going through a very bad medical time where I had cancerous cells growing in my cervix because he passed on an STD to me. I thought, no more of this, not doing it. And then I made connection with my family, and then I built that over the years. And then when I was 27, I ended this really stupid relationship that I was in, and I thought, no, done. I'm done with this cycle. I learned the hard ways. It was like hard-hitting path for me. But I would never, ever change a thing. Not one thing I would change. Because I've learned so much wisdom. It's made me grow as a person. And here I am, Rubie Marie.